let's take a look at the players as they arrived in the feature match area this morning on day 2 of competition. Nerves certainly playing a part. There's a look at Kenta Harana, followed by Sam Pardee as they sit down at the table this morning. Tony Portalon, your leader in the Player of the Year race, looking fly. I love the smiles around the table too, even though it's day 2, even though the competition is tight. Still having a great time. It's draft after all. Hey, you get to draft for free at the World Championship. Nothing like making day 2 to get another draft under your belt. And then, of course, our leader of the tournament there, Derrick Davis, at the head of the table. I wonder what is going through his mind as he sits down ready to crack those packs this morning. Take a look at Derrick Davis. This is day 1 of competition. He's 7-0, so nothing but wins in that results column, only dropping 3 games all day. The last World Championship he was top 32. Certainly put himself in a better position this time to do even better than that. Well, let's take a look at our broadcast team here this weekend and find out who will be calling all of the action from the feature match area. In the booth, we've got Ailey Loney and Corey Baumeister, as well as Marshall Sutcliffe and Paul Cheon. Cedric Phillips also here this weekend, walking the floor, talking to the players, and giving us reports from the teams here in the building. So a great broadcast team all around, if I do say so myself.
All around, yes. Particular. What are you talking about specifically?
There's 3 that I think are, head and shoulders above the field, truly. I mean, unless Marshall's standing next to us, because he is tall. He's
quite
a
literally
very
head and shoulders.
Tall gentleman. Speaking of Marshall, let's pass it on over to Marshall and Paul in the booth.
I'm not sure I feel about this, Paul. I think that they might not have been talking about us in the top 3.
I wasn't either.
We'll have to take our shot at it.
I know.
That's right. So we've got early action here on day number 2. The draft is finished and the players are ready to go. We've got Derrick Davis versus Kenta Harane, and we already mentioned this yesterday, every match counts, but now we're very, very much into that. Derrick came over undefeated overnight. He's in that beautiful position, Paul, where a solid performance in this draft could set him up for a top 8 easily. In fact, a great performance would
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be going into this draft really, really excited about, what he can open, right? I mean, taking a look at this pod, really stacked pod. We see some really, really big names here. Sam Pardee, 6-1. Kenta Harane sitting at 6-1. Ray Zhang. Lots of great names. Tony Portalon has a shot at Player of the Year. So, Derrick sitting at 7-0. The magic number is 10 to make it into the top 8. So he only needs to go 3-4. But of course, you still need to pick up those 3 wins.
That's right. So this is going to be for Derrick, who by the way, we're going to be following here. A lot on the line.
Yeah.
As far as what do you open, right?
Right.
What do you get opened up to start with? Because that's the part you can't control, right? You get to pick, where you want to go as far as the draft goes, but it's really, really important that we open, something hopefully very powerful.
Yeah, I mean, if he 3-0s this draft, that's it for him, right? He doesn't even have to play any more matches throughout the rest of the day, so he can just relax in his hotel room, watch the coverage along with everybody else. So he wants to start out well here, opens, one of the top rares in the set, Rise of Sozin, Fire Nation Drill, cards of that nature.
Yeah, those are the 2 top cards, and certainly ones that he'll have
So first of all, the packs are
in his mind.
So don't look at the back of any of the double face cards at any point, okay? Don't take them out of the sleeve. As a reminder, also, you'll be res string and sharing your pools, not the deck you build. Okay?
Draft, and our head judge for the draft
during the whole draft,
is
keep the cards face down in
the
a
players
single
through
pile
the extra
as well.
rules.
And at the beginning of each pack, when you take off the wrap, count down the 14 cards before we start with the pack, okay? The instructions during the draft will be pick up the pack. That means pick up and look at the cards.
Take a look
Draft
at
means you have to draft the card immediately. I'll give you
Avatar
some
shirt there.
warnings as we go along with how much time you have left.
Catch up with him
Shuffle pass
this morning.
Shuffle the cards
I
you have
really
left.
want to do well.
Count
like,
and pass.
He was
X
actually
cards
out there with
to
Matt Ness this morning.
left or right,
Matt Ness
depending.
was like, Sam, I also
then
want you to
review
do well,
some
but I
review
want
periods.
I want to
We've done
do
this
a little
before.
bit better.
Slightly
than
better than
slightly
you,
better.
teammate and friend.
So first of
All
all,
right,
please
there's
check you
Derrick.
have
Let's
packs
see what
labeled A, B, and C.
Derrick opens up. The players are going to make sure that the packs are all accounted for. There's kind of a
without
fair bit
further
of
ado, we can
accounting that
take off,
happens here.
the wrapper
And that's because,
pack tape,
once the draft gets
count down 14
underway, it's a
cards.
little too late if somebody goes, hey, wait, I'm missing a card, or, something like that. So they will count out the number of cards in each pack just to verify that they're all there. Again, this is just to make sure that everything is exactly how it should be, because once we get the draft underway, there's
Everyone
no
good?
looking back.
Good to go? Pick up your pack. You have 40 seconds.
All right, let's see what Derrick
Right.
opens up here. He's got A-Buy there.
Oh.
What did you see?
That was a Fire Nation drill, Marshall. One of the best rares
I just
in
talked
the
about
entire set. I mean, this is a card. I think that's probably the single card I've lost to the most in this format. It just comes down. It's a giant 6/3 trampler and get something out of the way. You know,
20
typically
seconds.
black is considered one of the weaker colors, but if you open one of these game-breaking bombs, you are thrilled and you are happy to move into this color.
Wow. What a break for Derrick Davis here. You know, he was not that happy with his draft deck yesterday, and he had a very
seconds.
tough pod. He was in our feature pod. We picked the feature pod because it had Javier in it, and
Right.
we were following
Shuffle and
Javier through the
pass.
draft. But Derrick was at
shuffle
that
and
pod
pass, turn cards
randomly,
to your
Right.
left.
and he ended up 3-0ing that pod.
Yeah, and you know, he even said it himself. He wasn't super happy with his deck, but he just had a
up your
deck
cards,
with a
you have
reasonable
45
curve, and
seconds.
you know, still ended up getting the 3-0. And you know, it was a deck that didn't even have a ton of great rares. Well,
He's got
start
one
out
now.
Start out with one of the best.
Let's see where he wants to go from here. What are his options? I see a North Pole Patrol. There's a Path to Redemption.
Then there's a Momo. I don't know which.
Momo-
I don't know which
15
Momo
seconds.
it
Is
is.
that the rare Momo?
The uncommon Momo would be something to consider. That is a very, very strong card. But Path to Redemption also quite good, along with North Pole Patrol. So this is kind of
5
an interesting
seconds.
point, right? Because I think Demir is a better color combination, but I think Path to Redemption is
Draft.
a better card.
Shuffle
You
and
know, it's
count
funny. I can
12
like
cards
almost
to your
feel Derrick going through that same thought process as he pulled the North Pole Patrol to the front, but ultimately took
Yeah.
the Path to Redemption. I agree with you, Paul. That seems to be the
Pick up your
correct
cards.
pick
You have 30
here,
seconds.
and we'll see where we go. Pirate Peddlers in black.
Twin
Zuko's
Blades,
Conviction.
Hermetic.
There's an,
Wow, this is a really bad pack.
there's an It'll Quenchia.
Yeah, there's also True Ancestry, which, you know,
Yeah.
if you draft a Golgari
15
deck,
seconds.
getting back the drill is also quite strong. But It'll Quencher can be nice because if you want to draft a Demir control deck, it's, you know, a solid thing to play early. Now, in an
seconds.
open deck list environment, it is against the best players in the world. A lot of times people will play around the card,
Draft.
but it's still a pretty
Shuffle
solid
and
card
pass,
in the
11 cards
context of
to your
this
left.
format.
Yeah, it's interesting. You really do have to make sure that in your mind you're remembering that you're playing against some of the best players in the world and
your
that
card,
they
you have
know
25
what you have in your list.
Right.
It's a big difference. Like, It'll
Absolutely.
Quench is a lot worse in that environment. Well, okay, there's a Deadly Precision.
Yeah, and if you notice, there's also there's some green cards here, so
Oh,
you have
see,
to just
Rocky
keep that in
Rebuke.
mind,
Yeah.
where you're gonna take the Deadly Precision here because you want to cut off the black, but just keep in mind that you do see an Earth Rumble and a Rocky Rebuke in this pack, so that's something that you need to kind of process and leave in the back of your mind, noting that,
Draft.
hey, in
Shuffle
pack
and
4, there were
pass,
2
10
solid
cards
green
to the left.
cards. Maybe that's something that I want to end up in. I know Golgari isn't the strongest color combination, but if it's open, you have to play your seat in the World Championship.
Pick up your cards. You have 25 seconds.
I see a Sold Out there.
Yeah, so black. It's not surprising that you're seeing a bunch of green and black cards because a lot of times, a lot of the players want to start in the Jeskai color. So, you know, seeing a 5th pick sold out is not super unusual here. That is a
Oh,
fairly late
Boomerang
Boomerang Basics
Basics.
as well. But I think kind of
5 seconds.
taking the sold out is the safer pick here because you do have the Fire Nation drill and the Deadly Precision. It gives you a little more
Draft.
flexibility while trying to cut off
Shuffle and
black,
pass,
which is what
9
Derrick's
cards to your left.
interested in doing so that he gets hooked up in pack 2.
Yeah, you have to remember that in the back of Derrick's mind after first picking the Fire Nation
your
drill,
cards, you have
he
20
wants to enable himself to play that card.
Right.
Like, if he flounders around and takes a bunch of blue and white cards and doesn't get to play it, that's pretty bad for him.
And there's another sold out here, so black is
Okay.
fairly clearly open here. But just again, you have to be mindful. You do see kind of
5
a
seconds.
late seismic sense. I mean, this pack has 4 green cards in it, so just keep that in mind as you kind of
Draft.
figure out. If you're in a
Shuffle
position
and
where you
pass.
don't take a black card, it's like maybe you
cards
should
to your
lean
left.
towards the green cards because you'll know that there's a good shot of getting more in
Pick up your
pack
cards. You
3.
have 20 seconds.
Take a look at our top table there. A lot of excellent drafters. Okay, there's another It'll Quenchia, and there was maybe a Fire Nation Trebuchet.
Yeah, Trebuchet shines if you're really looking to lean into the sacrifice
5
archetypes. If you end up in black-white with the Tools of War, that can do some work. But I think he's more interested in taking the second copy of
Draft.
It'll Quencha. Blue-black is a very, very
Shuffle and pass. 7
solid
cards
deck
to your
that
left.
performs very well. And it looks like Derrick, if possible, wants to lean into this. But keep in mind, I mean, It'll
there'll be
Quencha is
no
a
more
totally
5-second
fine
warnings,
card.
okay?
We haven't really seen
Pick up
any
your
of the
cards, you have
other
15 seconds.
hallmark blue cards,
Yeah,
right?
which there's a lot of.
Yeah, Forecasting Fortune Teller, Watery Grasp, Lost Days. We haven't seen a single copy of any of those cards in the first 7 packs.
Interesting. blue typically hotly contested, and it seems very much to be the case here as well. Callous Inspector he's going to take.
Yeah, and this card is fine if you're really leaning into the sacrifice strategy, but keep in mind, that was an 8th pick Ostrich Horse. Now, Ostrich Horse, you know, it's just a solid card, right? And if you see it's something like that 8th pick, you go, well, maybe I should take it there and see if I can move into that second color.
Yeah, and he's, you know, just kind of picking up some mediocre stuff. I mean, this is getting later in the pack, so he's not hoping to get bombs or anything at this point, but that was Azula Always Lies. But again, you know, at least at this point, it really does feel like he's very much going towards black and probably blue-black.
Yeah, that's what it looks like here. There's an Iguana Parrot. Now, noting that there is a Tiger Dillo and a Ty Lee in the pack, so, you know, those are cards that you're happy playing if you're drafting a Gruul aggressive strategy or just any aggressive strategy in general. So another thing to kind of keep in mind here. Because right now, all we really know is that Derrick wants to draft black. Black was pretty open. You got the late sold outs, but really, it's not super clear what you want to do with that second color. I think if Derrick opens a really great card in a different color, he'll just move it. I mean, that's a super late Badger mold. That's a totally fine playable card to take.
It is. And green definitely seems to be the most open other color.
Right.
He's going to pick up an Earthbending Lesson second to last. So and as we wind down the pack here, wow, another green card. Yeah, there's green seems open-ish. I mean, not that these cards are like super exciting, but you know, a little bit of wiggle room there for Derrick as he winds down the pack.
Yeah, I mean, even just starting as early as that second pick, where he had the choice between the North Pole Patrol and the Path to Redemption, it looked like after taking the first pick, Fire Nation Drill, Derrick really kind of favored that blue-black archetype and really almost took the North Pole Patrol there. Given how Pack 1's at least started out so far, he probably would have liked to have that card in his deck. But yeah, again, blue doesn't seem super open. I mean, reading a draft is really, really hard, right? And, you know, you see a late pick, it'll quench, and you think, okay, well, maybe blue is open. But then you have to think back. Did I see any Messenger Hawks? Did I see any Forecasting Fortune Tellers? You know, all the other blue cards. So you have to kind of think to yourself, maybe it's not so open. So, you know, Derrick has to try to, you know, he's going to basically hope for a bunch of good black cards in pack number 2. But I'm really curious what he's going to end up with, you know, as a second color here.
Yeah, and you can see here, you know, it is leaned towards blue, so that's probably the most likely way that he'll go. I also just got a sense from the way that Derrick was holding the cards and such that he would prefer to be in that, and it makes sense. Blue-black is a much more successful archetype, but I think what you said is really important. The important commons didn't come through. The only ones that he did get were It'll Quench Ya, and at the table like this, those are demoted. Those are not a top 2.
If you need a 2-drop, you play it. The blue-black deck doesn't really lean into the kind of the whole lessons angle, so that doesn't matter as much here. One thing that you're also going to be keeping in mind here is he's got a ton of removal and interaction. He doesn't actually have a single creature that can crew the Fire Nation Drill yet.
Yeah.
So the things that he's going to be looking for, you know, we're going to talk about it pretty soon, but he wants more creatures to actually be able to win the game.
So here's some of the comments that he'd love to see to help fill out that blue if that's the direction that he goes. These ones that we've been talking about here, the Fortune Teller, the Messenger Hawk, and the Lost Days. And, you know, this is the pack going into pack 2 where he should be getting more blue. I mean, there was nothing coming through, and he took any of the even remotely playable
I think
blue.
The only blue, he passed a North Pole Patrol and a Boomerang Basics. That was it.
That's it. So, and those were early. So let's take a look at the uncommons that he may have his eye on as well. Similar stuff. Foggy Swamp Spirit Keeper is just one of the best uncommons. But you can see Invasion Submersible and Knowledge Seeker would be so great, you know, to help fill out the blue.
Yeah, I mean, this is just going to help shore out his curve. His curve is a little bit of an issue. If he wants great uncommons, he kind of wants them to be cheap and also preferably creatures, just so he can actually win the game. Foggy Swamp Spirit Keeper, absolutely amazing in the Dimir archetype.
Yeah, and both of the first and the last cards there are really good with a drill, you know, get it up and running too. And if you're going to dream a little.
Oh, well, I mean, why not?
Why not, right? Let's go big. And I mean, that is actually one of the big draws to this color pair is that some of the absolute best rares in the set, including literally the best one, Rise of Sozin, and then a third or whatever it is, Wan Shi Tong Librarian, are available to you. Yeah. And of course, you know, you can dream even further, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, you can dream bigger. Why not?
How about a Fire Nation Drill?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's one of the best rares in the set. I mean, it's a legendary. Keep that in mind. But you know what? I'm sure Derrick would be thrilled to pick up a second copy of the Fire Nation Drill, one of the best rares in the set.
I mean, if you're going to dream, let's dream. All right, let's see what Derrick actually ends up getting here as we work our way back down to the feature match for our draft here and see what Derrick gets. Pack 2, pick 1. No, that's pack 1, pick 1, right? Oh, this is
a review, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So again, lots of interaction, like we mentioned, right? He has 4 removal spells and 2 counter spells, basically, and an iguana parrot.
Wow, that is a lot of interaction. I mean, he's actually maybe a little overloaded at this point.
Yeah, so this is the one thing, and I've run into this issue many, many times in draft, where you look at your deck and you have a bunch of premium removal, and you think your deck is great. But if you don't have creatures, you know what ends up happening? You have to cast sold outs on messenger hawks and forecasting fortune tellers, and it feels bad because you don't actually have creatures to trade with your opponent's early drop. So again, Derrick's going to be looking for those cheap, efficient creatures to actually play to the battlefield, so we can save some of those premium removal spells for later in the game.
So Derrick's going to be prioritizing solidifying his second color.
Right.
Blue is the best candidate, but as you mentioned, I mean, you know, if he opens up Legend of Yang Chen or something,
yeah,
right?
or Earthbender Ascension,
right? He'll
Down
just
in
jump
each
right
first
in
down
there.
pile. You can take off the wrap for pack B.
All right, let's see what Derrick opens up here. Pack
please
2,
count
pick
face
1
down, 14
incoming
cards.
from the World Championship here. The first pack, a bumpy ride, but not unexpected
Everyone
at
good?
the top table at the World Championship.
your
You're
cards, you have
not
40
getting
seconds.
gifts very often
No,
from
not at
your
all.
opponents here. Let's see what he gets. Boomy, King of 3 Trials at the front.
Yeah, not too interested
Low
in that.
and Lee.
Ooh, Iroh Grand Lotus. However, we are nowhere near able to cast that unless he kind of pivoted into some kind of black-green deck with a lot of mana fixing. But I see a
seconds.
benevolent... Yeah, Benevolent Spirit River Spirit rather.
Spirit,
And
another
sold out. I think with all the removal, I think you would rather take the creature, and Derrick's just looking for a way to close out the game. And the Benevolent River Spirit is a very, very
5
solid way to
seconds.
do so. Now, right now, you know, without all the permanents that he can play, you kind of have to pay full price for this thing, but
Draft.
it's a tough to kill
Shuffling
creature
past
and can close
13
out
cards
games.
To your right. This
Wow.
time.
So
Remember
he
keep
needs
all your
now
picks
to find
in a
ways to
single pile.
enable that, also fill out his creature curve.
Thank you.
Obviously, still try to find bombs, but a double blue card
Pick up the
straight
cards,
away
you have
does
35
kind of
seconds.
plant his flag here.
Yeah, forecasting Fortune Teller would be huge.
Let's see what he finds. Yeah, exactly. The type of card that makes 2 permanents.
Well, I mean, speaking
Wow,
of 2
this is
permanents,
rough.
this is rough, but there is a Kyoshi Battle Fan, right? I mean, it's not the most
Yeah.
powerful effect, but it is a 2-drop and helps you cast a Benevolent River Spirit.
15
It's a
seconds.
2-power creature that lets
Yeah.
you crew the Fire Nation Drill. And this pack is quite bad. The only other consideration is a Waterbending Lesson, which
Wow.
is a solid card. But Derrick's
seconds.
curve is already kind of on the high side with the Fire Nation Drill. 2 copies are
It's
sold
gonna
out.
take the battle fan.
And that
pack
is
2,
not
pick
what you wanna
1.
do.
Yikes.
Yeah,
Shuffle
it's
and
rough.
count
You know,
12
this is the
cards to
pack where
your
you
right.
really hope that you can get set up here, you can get hooked up. And a pick 2 Kyoshi Battle Fan is the responsible pick, but certainly not something that
Wow.
you're happy
The
about
the
doing.
pack,
Yeah,
you have
it
30
really
seconds.
shows that he's worried about what you were talking about,
Yep.
Paul, about getting those early creatures, stuff to crew, stuff to waterbend with.
And here it looks like we have a sold out is basically the only consideration here. I don't even see a card that I would even want in almost
It's
any
another-
other deck.
Yeah, there's another waterbending scroll, but he's just not blue enough.
No, no, no.
10 seconds.
He opened one as well.
Right.
5 seconds.
But sold out is a
Yeah.
good thing to have.
It's solid.
access to.
They get worse in multiples. Like once you
Right.
pick up the
Shuffle
third,
and
you
count
really don't
11
want the
cards to your
4th.
right.
But of course, it's still just an unconditional removal spell in a format where there's a ton of great bombs. So it's still a nice card to have.
Take a look at Tony Portalon
Pick up the pack. You have
making a
25
big
seconds.
move towards the top of the standings for Player of the Year. We'll see how that goes. Oh, there's a fortune
Ooh.
teller.
That is big. That is big. That is exactly the type of card. You know, Derrick wants like 3 of these if possible. So picking one up is really nice. There's also Sokka Lateral Strategist, which is a premium uncommon in the format, but he's just not going to be able to actually trigger the claws on Sokka
No
just because he
kidding.
doesn't
5
have
seconds.
creatures.
It's funny.
Yeah.
So yeah. It is interesting. I mean, this
Draft.
is pack 2, pick 4.
Shuffle
You're
and
really
count
hoping
10
for
cards to your right.
high-powered uncommons, but if I'm Derrick, I'm jumping out of my seat for
Oh,
fortune teller.
right. It's just everything that this deck wants. Fortune Tellers and
Pick up the
Messenger
pack, you have
Hawks.
25 seconds.
Okay.
Oh, Boomerang Basics.
Boomerang Basics is fine. There's really nothing of note here in the pack for Derrick. There's a Vindictive Warden. You don't care too much about that. I believe that's a black-green duel, so not really interested in that either. So I might just take the Boomerang Basics here.
5 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, in a pinch, you can just pick up a forecasting fortune
Draw.
teller for some extra value.
Oh, I've done that a
Shuffling
lot.
Oh,
down
yeah.
9 cards
It's a great
to your
play.
right.
Yeah, Boomerang Basics giving you the card for targeting your own permanent means that it happens way more often.
Yeah,
attack, you have 20
especially in
seconds.
blue-black, you can pick up a corrupt court official to pick up as well.
Master Paku, there's a Buzzard.
There's a platypus bear. I don't know what
Yeah.
the lesson count is. I mean, it's just, look, right now, Derrick can just basically, will just play any
5
two-mana
seconds.
play here. So I think it's going to be one of those two. He's got a couple of Idle Quenchas as his, and he picked up
Draft.
that Boomerang Basic, so
Shuffle
his
and count
lesson
8
count is at
cards
least
to your
at
right.
3 that we know of. You know, you would like to pick up some copies of Lost Days later on. So look, it's you know, look, we're talking about pick 6 already.
Pick up the pack.
It's
you have
just a
20
totally fine filler level card to put into your deck. And here there is, oh, okay, there's a Serpent's Pass here, so perfect. I mean, you have cards like Fire Nation Drill, which are kind of difficult to cast, so I think this is a pretty straightforward Serpent's Pass. Blue-Black also cares about drawing a bunch of cards. I don't know what he's doing with that Glider Staff. He's probably just, you know, letting everybody know that that's a good
No,
card.
this
but
is
he doesn't-
right where you
he
want
just-
to. Whoa, he
Okay.
took the staff.
No way.
He did.
Why would you take the staff there?
Well, the dual
up
land,
back,
that's
yeah.
exactly
That's
where you want to
perfect.
pick it up. Yeah.
That's perfect. I don't understand the Glider Staff. He doesn't even have a blue-white land to even splash the card. And even so, Glider Staff is not Aang the Last Airbender. It's a
Not at
fine
all.
card. You don't even have creatures
Right.
to equip onto that thing.
No,
It's not-
it goes well in the decks that have it surrounded by a bunch of
Right.
allies and things like that.
yeah, okay.
Agnikella here is a good pickup for Derrick. Yeah, that
Right,
staff,
no warnings from now on.
maybe just
Very
pure
fast picks, okay.
speculation. I
Pick up
mean,
the
he
pack,
does
10
have
seconds.
the path to redemption still that
Yeah.
he took second.
I just don't know.
I don't think he can get off of the blue-black train
Right.
at this point, regardless of, like, even if you know, we were talking about before, if
Right.
you open a great bomb.
Yeah.
Pass 5 cards
If it's
to your
pack
right.
3, I don't think he can
Yeah,
jump
like
ship at this point.
if it was I think that was more of a consideration if
Pick
there's
cards,
let's say
yeah.
there's like a blue-green duel where you just kind of want to have a tap land that can draw you a card
Right.
to trigger some of your card draw matters effects in blue-black. But a
on
blue-black?
color, yeah.
Come on.
Draft.
There's
Wow,
Momo.
look at that pack, by
Pass
the way.
4
Just
cards to your
3 white cards in there.
Totally.
One of the best colors in the format,
pack.
and
Yeah,
seeing a
5
Momo
seconds.
that late. And a Wandering Musicians with 3 cards
Gee,
left.
Somebody's going to be happy
Yeah,
with their
so-
allies deck.
Yeah, it seems like
Pass
the
3 cards to
the
your right.
aggressive allies deck is a little bit more open
up
than
the
it
pack, you
typically
have 5
seems to be.
It's interesting because these last picks have been white, and there's another one.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Derek's like toying
Pass
with the
2
idea.
cards.
His blue is mediocre. Like it
Also-
really
Look at
is.
the
He's
pack,
gotten
yeah, 5
almost
seconds.
nothing this
Also,
pack.
he cut off black and he only got a sold out in this
Yeah,
pack.
how did
so
that happen?
This is kind of a disaster of a draft. Pack 2 was the pack that
Pass the
Derrick
last
really
card to
needed
right.
to get all the cards. You know, you want to cooperate with the person that
Okay,
you're
so you now
passing
have
to.
90
It's like,
seconds
hey, look, I took
to
all the
look at your
blue-black cards. Hook me up in pack 2, I'll hook you up in pack 3. That is not what's going on here.
Yeah, Tony Portolon is not playing nice.
No.
That was a rough pack for Derrick. I mean, I was feeling relieved and excited with the 4th pick forecasting fortune teller, thinking,
Yeah.
all right, you know, we're on track here for Derrick to get some decent blue commons in the middle part of this pack, and it dried up and there was no black. either.
Tony must have opened like a Rise of Sozin or something. You know what I mean? Because Derrick did not pass a single decent black card from what I can remember in pack 1.
Right, he got cut
minute.
hard there.
I have that on my
You do have to account for the fact that you're playing against, you know, excellent players. It's in pod play,
Right.
You know, which is something that, you know, for the most part we don't play anymore. We generally, if you play online, you play leagues. If you play in person, you're playing in pod. But it's one of those things where like people will cut cards. They will
Yeah.
take cards that they don't want to have the chance of facing down over the course of the draft.
30
Where
seconds.
you know, if you're playing a league, you're just not incentivized. to
Yeah,
do that.
but the cost of cutting a card when you can take a dual land that's on color, that's a big cost. You're costing yourself a lot of percentage points by doing that, at least in this instance. But, you know, we don't even know if Derrick has enough
15
playables in a
seconds.
blue-black shell. He might have to stretch his mana base to play some of those white cards.
Boy, that's going to be tough.
Yeah, yeah.
That's going to be tough because you know, I'm looking at it and I'm really only seeing that path there that I'm like kind of wanting.
time's
And
up.
even
Please
then,
put
it's
your
like, what, he needs
cards
another
face down
removal
in a
spell? Like,
single pile.
Yeah.
he's got 100
You can take out the wrapper.
sold
pack
outs
C.
here.
And at
Hey,
this point, I mean,
Count
he's
down
basically just kind of more or less
14
committed to a blue-black deck, even though his blue is not the most powerful thing to do. At this point, it's just too hard to pivot out of that. So now it's just, hey, you know, I'm going to do the best with what I can from pack
Go
3. You know, I'd like to curve out. I need some creatures
Pick
to
up
win
the
the
pack.
game
You have
with.
40 seconds.
I have plenty of interaction, so that's not going to be a high priority. Now, if you see a removal spell and even something like a waterbending lesson, you might lean towards just taking the waterbending lesson here just because you're already on 3 sold outs and a deadly precision.
Yeah, he's passed a couple of waterbending lessons and a couple of waterbending scrolls.
It's another removal spell.
Of course it's another
Well,
removal.
the-
At least it's a cheap one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the thing is, there's not even like a decent creature in this pack for his color combination. So I
Right.
just, you know, Epic Downfall is a good one. I think if it was a sold out versus any 2 or 3 mana creature that's
Another
decent,
battle fan,
yeah,
right?
you might just take the
it.
creature. Yeah.
Yeah. But Epic Downfall's really good.
Yes.
Like, it is built to trade up.
Yeah, right.
Like, it forces you
Shuffle
to.
and pass
Yeah.
13 cards
And
to your left.
basically every time you cast it, you get an advantage. So he will be happy to see
Remember,
it,
keep
but
your picks in a
it
single
is
pick
not
format.
filling
Okay,
in
thank you.
the gaps for the deck here.
No,
Pick up
no,
the pack,
would
you have
love just,
35 seconds.
you know, Foggy Swamp Spirit Keeper. Oh, that's a
There's
Heartless Act. And I don't see a good creature.
He's getting all the uncommon,
Yeah, look at
efficient
this.
removal spells.
I mean,
here.
look, you know what that goes really, really well with? If you can find some ways to draw cards,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
If you can find a waterbending lesson, I think he did pass up on a waterbending scroll late in pack
15
number
seconds.
2. Maybe that's something that you normally don't like to play in a heavy black deck, but it might be a necessary evil in this type of deck because you have so much cheap, efficient removal and a counter spells. You need some way to get ahead. If you just one for one your removal your opponent all day, you're not actually getting
Shuffle and
ahead.
pass.
No,
12
especially
cards
in
to your
modern
left.
era limited, where a lot of times the creatures come down and leave behind something. too.
Right.
I mean, look at the cards that he's hoping to get. They all
the
do
pack,
that. The
you have
Fortune
30
Teller, the Hawk, etc.
So late Lightning Strike and a Water Tribe Rallier? What?
Jeez.
Jeez, okay. But there's not, I mean, what do we have here for Derrick? There's a Earth Village Ruffians and a Giant
15
Koi?
Giant Koi?
And the thing is, at this point, he's committed. He just has to take a blue or a black card. It sucks. It hurts. You're passing one of the best uncommons in Water Tribe Rallier,
5 seconds.
one of the best commons in Lightning Strike, and here you have to take Earth Village Ruffians for your mana curve.
Draft.
Oof. That's
Shuffle and
tough.
Pass 11 cards to your left.
Yeah, got to do what you got to do. Now, at least, you know, Derrick should get a bunch of black cards in the last pack. Not really anticipating him getting a bunch of blue based on what we saw in pack 1. So you're going to see a lot of those. Curb Court Official, I mean, totally fine card. He does have a deadly precision as well as something that you can do with the Court Official after it's entered the battlefield. He needs cheap things to play anyways, so I imagine that's going to be the pick here. But Boros, man, all of a sudden we're seeing a bunch of Boros cards.
Sun
Warriors in the
good.
pack, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look at the list
Draft. Shuffle
for
and
from
pass
this
10
table
cards to your
produced,
left.
but there's probably somebody with a very solid Boros deck that got some very late good
Yeah,
stuff.
it sure looks that way.
Could it be Sam
The pack, you
Pardee,
have
maybe?
25 seconds.
I saw Charles Wong back there as well.
Yeah, there's an Accumulate Wisdom, but I do not think Derrick has enough lessons, so that's basically going to be an Anticipate 2 mana, look at the top 3, so probably not interested in that. Might actually just take a Geyser Leaper here. He needs some card filtering, and he needs a way to close out the game.
5 seconds.
I don't like playing this card, but if you need a way to close out the game, it kind of does what you need, so I think he might just take it
Draft.
here.
Yeah,
Shuffle
there's a
and
Wolf
pass
Bat and
9
a
cards to
Rowdy
your left.
Snowballers there too, but those don't really fit what he's trying to do. He doesn't really have card draw to get them.
Yeah, and the Snowballer is ideal in
the
maybe
pack,
more of a
you have
tempo
20
shell. If you're playing a blue-white aggressive deck with a good curve, then it does some work, but in a blue-black control deck, it does not do enough.
No, it doesn't. Even in those decks, it feels like a little bit you're
No,
kind of
yeah.
on the borderline,
Right,
and in
right.
these decks, it's just not good at all.
But it might be his only option here. There's an
5
Azula Always Lies, which, you know, is a decent combat trick.
Yeah.
I do like. I like it best in black-white, where I'm curving out.
Draft.
It's really awesome when you
Shuffle
get
and
into
pass
creature
8
combat,
cards to your
but that's not something that you see happen as often in a blue-black deck.
Yeah, and definitely not in the build that Derek's going
Pick up the
for.
pack,
So
you have
he's going to
20
take a Rowdy Snowballers out of that pack.
All right, and
Aaron
now...
Nomad Lake, there's a Canyon Crawler.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to take it. You know, Octopus Form is a better card, but he doesn't even have a creature worth
Yeah,
saving
what
right
do you,
now.
you protect?
He has no creatures, so I think you kind of
5
have to.
seconds.
At this point, Derrick's on the I will take whatever Canyon Crawlers and Giant Kois I see just to have a way to try to
Draft.
close out these games.
Pass 7 cards to your left.
There's Charles. He always has an interesting take on
Pick up the pack, you
drafting,
have
by the
50
way.
Does.
15 seconds.
There's another canyon crawler here, and I imagine he's going to be taking this. But
Well,
again,
he did get to check that box. You
He
were
did?
saying he wanted something on the high end, and he
Yeah.
got the geyser and
5
then
seconds.
2 crawlers.
yeah, so he does have some stuff to close out the games, kill a bunch of stuff, then slam a canyon crawler and hope it
Pass
works out.
6 cards to
That
your left.
feels like that's going to be the game plan here for Derrick Davis.
Okay, final
Been there
stretch.
before.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
fast, okay?
yeah.
Pick up the pack.
You
have
do
10
hope for
seconds.
something a little better, but and there's that geyser leaper on the wheel, by the way.
He does also have the land Agnikella, so that one also lets you kind of loot through your deck too. So
Draft.
that's some filtering,
Pass
which
5
this deck
cards to your
definitely
left.
needs because of the lack of card draw.
Pick up the pack. You have 10 seconds.
Right, Vindictive Warden, that is a 3-mana creature you can play. It's not ideal, it's better than Aggressive Shell, but I don't think Derrick has a ton of 3-mana plays. He already
Draft.
has an Iguana Parrot, so
Pass
just
4
kind
cards
of
to your left.
diversifying the threats there at 3.
Pick up the pack. You have
You
5 seconds.
that's win condition acquired, Paul.
Yeah, I mean it's basically unblockable,
He's
right?
60 mana
It's
away
got
from
it's got
glory.
it's got menace and everything
Pass
else in
3
his deck
cards
kills
to your left.
creatures, so
Right.
gets in.
I saw a giant koi there out of that pack.
I don't
up
think he
the pack,
took
you
it
have
though.
I
5
don't think he
seconds.
did either. And it makes sense. He has filled out that part of the curve. What
Right.
did he got in
Draft.
his Zula always lies.
Yeah, it could be a
Pass
sideboard
2
card as
cards to
well
your
if your
left.
opponent plays a bomb
the
that
pack.
happens to have 1
You have 5
toughness.
seconds.
And then there's a hog monkey, which isn't going to be playable for him, and
Draft.
probably
Okay.
a land
so
here to finish
please
off.
pass your final card.
Oh,
No, it
left.
was not
okay.
a land. So
Please now make sure that all
Wow,
the cards
that was
that
tough.
you have drafted
It
are
was
spent.
very, very tough. I mean, look at the blue cards that he picked up in this last pack. There's not a card that I'm happy playing in my deck.
Right.
So I don't know. I feel like this is one of those situations where I think Derrick was very comfortable drafting blue. Like a lot of players wanted to go into the draft drafting blue or white, and he wanted to pair the blue with the black, and so I think he kind of ended up with a deck that is fine, but I think certainly could have been better. I mean, his blue's just not even that strong here, right? Like he just didn't get enough playables here. So there's a lot of filler level cards here, but remember, he's got one of the best rares in the format. You have the Fire Nation Drill. You can pick it up with Boomerang Basics, play that again, kill a bunch of creatures.
Totally.
3 copies are sold out. He has a pretty responsible mana curve. He actually managed to figure that out. Of course, the Benevolent River Spirit is more of an expensive card here. He's got Callous Inspector, which is not particularly strong here. Only the Deadly Precision. So, uphill battle here for Derrick Davis. He's going to have to rely on drawing that Fire Nation Drill very often.
super tough seat for him.
By the way, you said he's not going to play the Hog Monkey? It's in there. It's in there.
I'm sorry, Hog Monkey, for disrespecting you. All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back here, we will be lined up and ready for the first round of the second draft here on day 2. We'll be back with more right after this.